What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeremy. If you're new, this is Fishing Lone Star. Today I'm doing an unbagging or an unboxing of the MonsterBass Regional Pro Box for the South region. I'm in Dallas, Texas, but for the South region in the month of September. Let's take a look at these, but I'm actually gonna walk through every single bait in the bag and also tell you how to use it, the line, the rod, the reel, and even the retrieval to help you catch more fish. So we're not even talking about what's in the bag, we're talking about how to fish what's in the bag. Let's go. Oh, it's not a three, it's a monster of a fish. Good fish right there. All right, so here's what we're gonna do for this video. I'm gonna unbag this and show you each bait and lure in here. Now I'm also going to try to keep this video a straight, non-edited video as much as possible, mainly because I'm trying to put out as many videos as I can for you guys with different content each week. This will be the third video this week. Hit the subscribe button just for that if you're not. Hit the like button if you are subscribed, because we're spending a lot of time editing videos late at night. So this is gonna be one of them, although I'm not gonna edit this much. I'm gonna kind of run right through this video. So let's jump in. The first one that I'm gonna pull out is the Bass Hick Pulsator. All right, now this is a 1/2 ounce double willow blade spinnerbait, and I will tell you, I've used this before. This chartreuse spinnerbait on top, the silver one on the bottom, and then kind of like a chartreuse, kind of a silver spinnerbait itself, the actual bait and skirt. It actually looks really, really good in the water. The blades twirl really good. I've caught some really good fish on this so far, so the Pulsator, good spinnerbait. Now, for spinnerbait fishing, what I like to do is, first of all, slow down. I have the tendency to fish a spinnerbait too fast. Slow down. Let those blades thump, let it come across the water. You mainly want to pick days that are kind of like that 8-mile-an-hour winds or higher. I know that sounds kind of specific, but 5 is usually not enough wind. 10 is great, but somewhere in that 8 to 10-mile-an-hour winds or higher is usually when you want to throw a spinnerbait. The good thing about a spinnerbait is they're pretty much weedless, so you can throw it around timber, grass, laydowns, whatever, rocks. Spinnerbait works really well, especially this time of year in September when the bass are chasing small bait fish. Those willow blades look like small bait coming through the water. It's a great bait to throw. I like to throw mine on 17 to 20-pound fluorocarbon. I usually use kind of a mid speed reel, somewhere around like a 7.5 to 1, but again, just reel it really slow. And then the rod, I personally like more of probably a medium, or if you use a heavier power, like a medium heavy to heavy, just use like more of a moderate versus a fast tip. So kind of a moderate rod in terms of the action of the rod. And you can use a medium heavy, that's totally fine, or even a heavy. But what I like to do is kind of sweep and reel into my hook sets, not necessarily jerk really hard. I know that sounds weird, but you're gonna have some give already in the blade, but I've just found I have a better hookup ratio with a more of a moderate rod than a fast tip rod with my spinnerbaits. So there you go. All right, next in the bag, let's jump to this one. This is a pretty interesting bait. It's a Lipless crank by Lucky Strike. All right, and it's kind of like a sexy shed color a little bit, but I'm kind of moving this bait because you're getting some reflection off the plastic. But I like that dot on it, especially this time of year. You know what I love about the MonsterBass bags is that the baits are handpicked for this time of year to work with kind of what bass conditions I guess the bass are presenting with. And so this is a 3/4 ounce though, and you'll notice it's a little fatter than your traditional lipless, like a rattle trap or something like that. But it's a little bit heavier, it'll cast further, and it'll get down a little bit deeper. So I would fish this around some of the, like some deeper main lake points or secondary points that are like 8 to 15 foot of water. Bass are gonna be pushing bait fish up against those areas. And so this would work really well. I like to use 14 to 17 pound fluorocarbon for my lipless cranks. I also like to use a little bit of a slower gear ratio, 6.8 to 7.5 to 1. And I'm definitely using, in my case, I use a fiberglass rod because it has a lot of give and bend to it because it has treble hooks, right? So treble hook I'm using more of a moderate action versus a fast action rod. It gives more bend and give and forgiveness. And again, I'm using fluorocarbon. So anyways, that's usually what I'm using to fish a lipless, particularly this one. So I like the color, the size, it's got a good movement in the water. I have tried this in the water and it looks really good. All right, next, I've fished this one before. Right now, this frog has gotten a lot of bad reviews. I think just because it takes on some water, but the frog itself is called the Crime Scene, all right, by Fat Bastard Frog. And I think I can take this out of the package. I'm actually gonna give away all these lures in a big giveaway, so I'm trying not to open all of these and ruin the packaging for you guys. Yes, that giveaway is still coming. I know I've talked about it in previous videos, but this frog is actually pretty soft plastic, and you'll see those hooks come out really well right there. They're a little angled in, so I would probably bend those out just a little bit, but it's weighted really well. The white and pink actually draws strikes. You know, right now, this time of year, again, bass are feeding on shad. So this white color actually does a good job drawing in the fish. Again, I would take those hooks and instead of bending this way, I'd bend them out this way. That's just me personally. You don't need to trim the legs. They're at a good length. If it is taking on water in the nose right here, just put some super glue right there on it, and that should fix it. But I've actually, when I fished this a couple of videos back, I did not miss a single fish. Every single fish that hit it, I think that's right. I might have missed one, but almost every single fish that hit it, I landed. So I had some really good luck with that fish. Now I'm using 50 to 65 pound braid on my frogging setup. I'm using an extra heavy rod, fast action. Although the one I use is more of a moderate to fast. I know that sounds weird for frogging setup, but it gives you a really accurate casting. And for me, that extra heavy makes up for kind of that moderate fast tip. Sometimes a fast tip, yeah, you can cast long distances, but you're not very accurate with it. And sometimes you need to pick apart a hole in the grass or a hole in the lily pads. So I've just found that works really well for me. So I use that TFO 7.4 extra heavy rod with kind of a moderate fast tip on 60 to 65 pound braid. Again, fish lily pads, fish grass, fish above laydowns, works really well. And that bait, actually, that frog walks really well too. So I actually like it, although I don't think, I don't know. A lot of people had bad reviews of it. I actually like it, but just put some super glue on the nose if it's holding water. So, all right, one lure that I actually just did a video on the MonsterBass channel. My buddy Alex, Oklahoma's Worst Angler, did a video on it as well. But that's the Mad Max Popper 2.0. It's a 2.5 inch in length and a 1/3 ounce, but the weight distribution, kind of the weight settles in the back. So it does two things. One, whoops, excuse me, I dropped some baits. It does two things. One, it gives you a long castability, and two, that lure pops or walks and then kind of sits down a little bit in the water. I've actually gotten several bites so far with that back end, those feathered trebles sitting down in the water, and not even actually seeing the fish bite. So those feathered trebles are really sharp, they do really well. And then there's a front red treble hook, all right? Now I'm fishing a tournament this weekend at Lake Belton down near Fort Hood in the Killeen area in Texas. And I will probably start my day, or at least at some point in the day, throw the Mad Max Popper in a tournament. That's how confident I am right now in this popper. This is the Money Eagle color. There's 6 other colors that come in the Mad Max Popper. Check them out, they're pretty darn sweet. There's a bone, there's a kind of a cracked, sexy shad color. Just go check out the colors, there's some good ones. All right, the lure that I dropped that I'm also gonna probably throw in that tournament is the Line Through Swim Bait by Optim Baits. And it's I think it's just called the Boom Boom Shad. Optim Baits, yeah, I think that's right, Boom Boom Shad. Anyways, it's a line through swim bait, right? Now, this is gonna be a little different than your normal paddle tail plastic swim bait. Normally, if it's say for example, an owner hook or a big 5/0, 6/0, 8/0 EWG belly weighted hook, I'm gonna throw that on an extra heavy rod, probably on braid or 20-pound fluorocarbon and a fast action. On this though, because it's a line through and it's got a treble hook, you're almost gonna treat this kind of like a lipless crank. So I'll state that again. It's probably gonna be like a 14, maybe 17-pound fluorocarbon, What's gonna happen though, just like a crankbait, is the heavier the line is, the higher this is gonna sit in the water column. So if you throw a 14-pound fluorocarbon, it's gonna get down deeper. If you throw 17-pound fluorocarbon, it's gonna stay up higher. And because it's a treble bait hook, I would definitely throw more of a moderate style rod. You can throw a medium heavy. I don't know that it requires anything heavier than that. A medium heavy rod, even probably a medium rod. This isn't a really heavy bait. See if it says how much it weighs. I don't see the weight, but if you want to get down deeper, you can actually add like a weight to the treble hook. Tackle Warehouse sells some of those, but you can weight the treble hook a little more to get it to sink down deeper. But I would even say like a medium heavy. If you have just a fast action rod, just know that you don't have to just jack the fish when they bite this. In fact, if you do, you're gonna rip that treble hook away from them. So you want to kind of lean into this hook set. You don't want to jerk in a real hard hook set, because you're going to rip the treble hooks right out of the fish's mouth. So I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. But fish this along rock edges, fishing around main lake points, secondary points, which a secondary point, if you're not familiar, is just a point inside of a creek channel. Okay, so you've got your main lake points, and then if you were to swing into a creek channel, there's another point, that's a secondary point. Fish will be there pushing bait fish. Throw this around there, around like lake dams, rock there, grass edges. It should do really well. So I'll be throwing that this weekend. All right, let's see. I think I've got 2 more baits in here. Now this one I love. You guys know, if you watch my channel any length of time, you know I love egg zone lures. This is the Deception Worm, and this is the 309 color. It's such a phenomenal color. It's kind of got a little bit of a shad profile, which is, again, great for this time of year. There's 2 main ways I would throw this. I would throw this on a shaky head, like a 1/4 ounce shaky head, or maybe a 3/16 ounce shaky head, or I would throw this on a drop shot. Now, maybe I personally wouldn't throw on a drop shot because I don't throw drop shots a lot, but if I did, I would rig this on a drop shot. I can tell you that Brandon Polnick on tour, an elite pro angler, fishes the Deception Worm a lot and catches a lot of big fish. So target, again, kind of those same areas, main lake points, secondary points, bridge columns, things like that. With a drop shot, you're gonna do really well, or with a shaky head, you're gonna do really well. I normally use kind of a medium heavy rod, fast action, and around a 14-pound fluorocarbon for my shaky heads. Obviously, if you're throwing a drop shot, you can go to a spinning rod, something a little lighter, but I normally would drop shot with like a 1/8 ounce. I'll go up to a 1/4 ounce, or even a little bit heavier on a drop shot. All depends on the wind. All right, so there you go. Okay, last bait in here, and I'm gonna kind of show these 2 together, because you've got some hooks, some Stanley hooks, super sharp. These are just your normal standard worm hook, but you could rig that on this Z Bait Company. All right, now this is a 4-inch, kind of an interesting little finesse worm. It's called the Twig, all right, and this is a unique color to Monster Bass called Goby Time. And I will tell you that, sometimes when, some of the bigger moving baits aren't working, or it's a really pressured body of water, you can slow down and kind of pick apart the bottom. So I would do 2 things. I would Texas rig this and kind of fish it really slow with like probably a 1/4 ounce to maybe a 3/16 ounce weight, medium heavy rod, somewhere in there. You could probably even do medium rod, because this is medium power, because this is not going to be a heavy bait. And now use probably 12 to 14-pound fluorocarbon, somewhere in there, or you could use a Ned rig. You can Ned rig this. And yes, it's 4 inches, but it's small enough that it should do really well on a Ned rig. Again, for those days that are a little bit, pressured, high sun, fish low. All right, I think that would work really well along with that Deception Worm. So what's cool about this month's Monster Bass bag is you've got kind of what I would consider like some power fishing baits, some moving baits, but you also have some of those other baits that you can fish slower and on bottom, because let's face it, there's some days that the fish are just being a little bit stubborn. They're holding the structure, they're holding the cover, they're holding to the bottom, and you just gotta go slow and go get them there. So that's awesome. There's some baits for that. All right, guys, that's a wrap. We did that in 1 take. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know if you like this format of kind of talking through how I would fish each bait versus just the quick down and dirty, here's what's in the bag. I can do either one. You guys let me know. Drop me a comment. Let me know which one you think works better for you. I try to please the people. All right, this weekend, I'm heading to Lake Belton. I have not fished this lake ever before. I won't be able to practice on the lake either. I'm hoping I can at least put my boat in the water and run a little bit because I'm going to be starting Saturday morning at like 5 a.m. in the dark, at least to get to the launch site. So, I'm always going to be using my map on my boat, but I don't even know the lake at all. So wish me luck. I've never fished it before. My co-angler is a vet. This tournament is called Fishing for Freedom. I've essentially I wouldn't say volunteered because I get to fish it, but I'm going down there with the boat so that a vet or active military can jump in the boat with me and I can take them fishing for the day. That's what the tournament's all about. So I'm happy to do that. If you're watching this and you're also active or retired military, you're a vet, you served our country, thank you so much. It means the world to me and many, many others, even though you probably don't hear thank you enough. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this video. Stay tuned. We got a couple more coming. We got a bank fishing video with a couple of the neighborhood kids. I got a video on Lake of the Pines coming after this. And then we also have the tournament video and several others waiting in the wings. So make sure you subscribe if you've not. If nobody's told you, God loves you, and so do I. Peace out.